Hello and welcome to Total Football Analysis. In this video we will take a closer look at the pivot position in football. Our analysis will look at defining the subtleties of the role and explain with tactical theory how the pivot's movement and positioning has a desired effect on the rest of the side's attacking shape. Therefore, we will use examples from Schalke's Omar Mascarell, Bayern Munich's Thiago Alcantara and Arsenal's Granit Xhaka. This analysis is part of the April edition of our Total Football Analysis magazine. You can find the link to the magazine in the video description below. And if you don't want to miss any of our videos, subscribe to our channel for free. To start with, what exactly is a pivot? The pivot is a central midfielder who will sit deeper than his midfield counterparts. They play a key role in a team's possession tactics in contributing to a team's press resistance during build-up play, helping beat the initial press by dropping in between the first and second lines of the press. They also aid ball circulation and can even act as a quarterback option to launch attacks from a deeper position with the rest of the team pushed forward. The role of the pivot is nothing new to football, but this analysis is going to look at the impact of using tactics that involve a pivot dropping particularly deep. Thiago, for example, has the 11th best passing percentages across Europe's top 5 leagues respectively. With these players receiving the ball so deep, they can get in possession as quickly as possible, and they can immediately look to break the lines with passes rather than your centre backs looking to do this, who perhaps aren't at the same level of passing ability as the pivot. We can see that Xhaka does exactly this in this image. One option for the pivot is to drop between the centre backs. The 3-4-3 shape is desirable in the build-up phase as it provides plenty of space centrally to play passes through, which is one of the biggest benefits of dropping the pivot into the backline. In a back three, the wide players can operate in the half spaces, which provide a greater deal of passing options than if they were part of a central defensive pair. The movement from the pivot to drop deep creates space to play passes through. Specifically, it opens up the opportunity for the pivot to break the first and second lines of press with one pass and play the ball directly into the center forward's feet. The center forward's run into the space created by the pivot allows the team in possession to play an up-back-through combination where the number 8 has 3 attacking options once in possession. He can either play the wingback in behind or the 2 wingers who have tucked into the half spaces. The pivot plays a vital role in helping their team beat the press, often by offering a central option to the defense just beyond the first line of press. Therefore, it is important they operate close to the defense, particularly the 2 center backs. If a side is looking to draw the opposition forward, then a positioning close in front of the central defenders is useful too. By dropping into these areas of the pitch, they can become a very realistic passing option, and therefore their positioning will encourage the opposition to press forward, generally as a unit, leaving space behind the defense. Another way they contribute with this initial positioning and possession is through their impact on the defensive transition, by protecting the team from the counter-attack. Here we can see Mascarell is going to drop between Schalke's 2 central defenders, and as he does so, their right back Joe Kenny will push high and wide. However, the ball is intercepted and Bayer Leverkusen look to counter-attack. Mascarell's positioning protects Schalke defensively, and they have a compact back three who are ably suited to protect their goal and delay the attack until reinforcements arrive. When the pivot is operating at the top of the half with the ball, it really pins the opposition back and allows them to stretch the play wide, which creates plenty of gaps for the pivot to look to exploit from this deeper position with their passing. We can see Bayern doing this with Thiago as part of the back three. Bayern are particularly fond of camping this back three well inside the opposition half, making it difficult for the opposition to get out of their half as well. But the pivot's positioning has another obvious effect on the attacking shape. By having the pivot move into the backline to join the 2 center backs, the fullbacks can push on, becoming wingbacks. From here, teams can look to create overloads in wide areas, or allow the wingbacks to have autonomy over their flanks and have their wingers or wide forwards stay more narrow centrally. We can also see in this image how the width created also opens up central passing lanes into the midfields. The threat provided by this new width and height of the wingbacks is useful against teams operating in a deep block where the middle of the pitch can get particularly crowded. Therefore, the highest percentage chance of finding space is on the flanks. Again, similarly to this image, it will stretch the opposition and provide space between players to potentially play passes. If the opposition resists this and stay narrow, then there should be plenty of space for the pivot to find the wide players in attack, as we can see Bayern do against Hertha Berlin in this image. By no means does the pivot have to drop in between the center backs though, and in fact, dropping to either side of the 2 center backs can be a creative way to provide extra space for the wingbacks to receive and attack from. Here, the pivot drops at an angle to the left side of the two center backs. As he does this, he is able to lure the opposition right winger towards him and slightly away from the left back, leaving the left back in more space. Arsenal often have their pivots drop either side of the center backs rather than centrally. As they do this, it creates the back 3, which also tempts the opposition into pressing with a front 3 rather than a front 2. As we can see in this example, Xhaka won't start in this position, but the trigger for his movement will be the movement of the left back to go down the line looking for the diagonal ball from the center back. By dropping in, Xhaka can tempt the right winger to press him and leave space for his left back. The domino effect of the pivot dropping deep continues in regards to the effect the wingback's new position has on the wingers. To truly get the most benefit from the high wingbacks, teams such as Bayern will have their wingers tuck inside into the half spaces. From his position in this image, Coutinho can link up with a quick 1-2 with Davis, receive the ball himself and turn, or perhaps even let the ball run through for Lewandowski, still sitting in a central position. With the wingers coming inside, the pivot can look to play centrally too, and not just look to play in the wingbacks every time. With increased numbers inside, the center forward can make a run towards the ball, leaving space behind them. As the forward moves towards the ball, the wingers, who are now operating in the half spaces, can make runs behind the forward into the space they have vacated. To sum up, as much as the pivot is important in facilitating ball retention and launching direct attacks from deeper areas with well-placed diagonal balls, their movement into these deeper areas creates many possibilities further up the pitch. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and also check out the other videos on our channel.